So I was like, yeah, so how was the food? And he was just like, oh, like they went to this one Caribbean shop and he was like, it was actually awful. He was like, Caribbean in New York does not bang. And I was like, for real? And he was like, you'd expect it to bang. And I was like, no, you didn't go to the right place. And he was like, look, he asked everybody, like, you know, where he was. And the thing is, his friend that was hosting him was really excited to take him to this place because he knows how much my brother like loves like food. And so he said when he tasted it, he was like, oh, it's awful. And he was like, I realized that my friend's got fat boy palate. And I was like, what the heck is fat boy palate? And he was like, you know, them palates there that just like, they just eat food, but they have no flavor whatsoever. So he's got just that palate. Like they'll just tell you everything is good, but really, like he can't differentiate what's shit and what's good. So it's just like there's some people who he'll just say, you know, like he'll be like, that guy's got a fat boy palate and like that food isn't good. And so that's our way. Like fat boy palate, you don't need to be big or skinny to have fat boy palate. Like you can just like it's just somebody who just thinks that everything that they taste is awesome.
Juice and the Sauce podcast.
Welcome
To a brand new show featuring myself, Lisimba Pink, and
Nastassja Lisengo, better known as Miss Sugar Plum.
Amazing. So I guess let's tell the people, the audience, what this is about.
Yeah, I mean, let's get into it. So, Juice and the Sauce, we're going to be bringing you juicy stories, saucy stories, mainly to do around what me and Lisimba do and what me and Lisimba love, which is food. Like, so I'm a baker, but yet known as Miss Sugar Plum. My company, The Indulgent Sugar Plum. I've been making cakes since apparently 2013 and a little bit longer. Baking's always been a part of my life, actually. So I've been baking ever since I was a child. Loved it, but really got into it. Got it into serious business in the last 6 years, I think. Yeah. And I've been featured on Extreme Cake Makers on Channel 4, which really kind of like just shot me up there. Like it kind of came out of nowhere, like very early into me, like getting into my business and being comfortable with it. And that came along and that's been on the screen since, how long has that been? I can't even remember, like 3 years now?
Probably, yeah, about 3.
I know, like I'm asking Lisimba because like we did like before this podcast, Lisimba had his own podcast and that was like, whenever he interviewed me, I can't even remember, like it was like
2.5 years ago maybe.
Yeah, so 2015, 2016?
Something like that,
2016. Let's say 2016. That sounds right. And so, yeah, since then, I've just been baking my little heart out. And now we're expanding and I'm collaborating with Lisimba on this new podcast. And, we're going to be sharing, from my perspective, sharing kitchen stories, sharing life stories, sharing food tips, recipes, things I find interesting in the news. I wouldn't say I'm political, but I find a lot of things interesting. And I think I mostly kind of just like, there's a lot of things that I'm interested about. I'm kind of like really random like that. I'll pick out stuff and just random shit that happens to me as well. Like, yeah, there's always something that's going on that's just mad.
Like Mr. Uber today.
Okay, so yeah, I've got an Uber story today. I've always got Uber stories. If you like follow me on my on my Instagram page, there are times when I've like posted up Uber stories. Like I've got Uber stories for days. And I'll give you my handle as well. So my handle for Instagram is Miss, which is MS_sugar_plum. So you can hit follow. If not, just watch my stories and watch my madness. So yeah, I've got Uber stories. I've got like a really random story as well, like a prison story. Like, it sounds so weird, but a message that I got, a random message. Yeah, we'll get into that a bit later.
No, don't leave them in suspense. Tell them the Christmas story.
We got to introduce Lisimba first. Let's introduce Lisimba, and then we'll get into my random stories, like, and just life stories. Lisimba, who are you? What do you do? And where do you come from?
Oh, where do I come from? Oh, okay, cool.
I'm like interviewing you at the same time, like, yo.
My name's Lisimba Pink.
So hold on. Is Pink your actual surname?
Yes, it is my real
All right,
surname.
I didn't actually know that.
Oh, okay. Oh, this whole time you never...
No, I just thought it was kind of like a stage name. I was actually going to ask you, but I thought I'd save it like for now because, yes.
No, yeah, Pink is my real name, 100%. And I am, I guess, owner, founder, creator of the Black Food Club, which is a brand that I put around sharing the stories around people involved in the African and Caribbean food space and bringing them together around events, and could call it like a blog, just, you know, sharing those kind of stories. And recently handed in my notice, so...
I'm in full support, like, I'm in full support.
Thank you. So yeah, handed in my notice, leaving work in the next week and a half.
Yeah.
To launch a brand around ice cream, which is, you know, going to feature like African and Caribbean flavors and stuff. And that is kind of where I'm at. Sorry, I haven't done like the super intro.
No, your intro was perfect.
Okay, cool.
Like,
yeah, punchy, straight to the point.
Exactly. Like, I like to... I'm a waffler. I can talk for days, innit? I've always got something to say. Like, I have my silent moments, but, you know, like, I've always got something to say. Sure. I think
that's good. You need that for a podcast. You need to be able to speak, right?
I think I've got too much to say. I think, you know who's going to be so impressed with this podcast? I think my sisters.
Okay.
Because they know I can talk for the world.
Do they talk more or less than you?
Okay, so I come from quite a big family. So I've got one brother, and I've got 3 sisters.
Okay.
I'm the eldest out of 5. I would say I'm the most... They would say I'm the most talkative because they're always just like, you've always got something to say. Like, but I think just in general, my family, we all have our moments. Like, the twins I've got twins, the youngest 2 are twins, and they have their moments. But I would say probably, I'm the most talkative one out of it. But it's weird because when I'm working, I'm like, stumm. Like, I'm just quiet. I'm just focused on what I'm doing. And after, like, people try and have conversations. One of the pet hates is when, this is really weird, but when I'm working and someone's trying to have a massive conversation with me, because people say that females can multitask. Like, when it comes to when it comes to my work, actually, I'm very, very strict and dedicated. It's like earphones. I'm concentrating on what I'm doing, and that's why I usually like to work like late hours in the evening, because there's nobody around. It's just me, the cake, work. And during the day it's a bit too active because there's always someone trying to ask me a question about something and I'm not fully dedicated. So yeah, it's only like when I'm working, stumm. And actually being a baker is actually quite people think it's like some 1950s kind of pinny, it's a real excited. Let me tell you, like, baking is not, like, honestly, I've just come from a delivery right now and I am drained. Like, literally, baking isn't one of those kind of, you're another type of athlete. That's the best way I could describe it. Like, being a baker is like a different kind of athlete because you do need endurance. You do need you need to have all of your senses working with you, like when you're mixing the cake, when you are lifting and building and constructing, and you're on your feet 24/7. And so by the time I finish a job, all of my, like, I'm just like in meltdown and I just want to go to sleep. So yeah, it's just one of those, but it is quite lonely because unless you've got a team of people working around you, if you're like me, I love doing my bespoke orders. So it's just usually me, and if I've got an intern or another helper, you are literally just by yourself. And then it's that, and I think that's where my talkative aspect or that personality comes out, because I've been alone for like the past like 4 days and my human interaction has been like, what, 15-20%. And then afterwards, basically after the order, that's when you're like to everyone, and they're just like, girl, why you always got something to say? Like, what, you sound lonely. And I'm just like, because I am lonely in the kitchen. But it's that kind of thing where I've kind of got to be like, I get distracted really easily, so I prefer working by myself.
Okay, so it sounds like you're baking and then suddenly you just let loose, you let out.
Yeah, kind of thing. And then, you know, I think one of my, like, the thing recently has been a lot of interaction, should I say, on my IG stories, which has been fun and cool. And it's just like the time to kind of respond and kind of get like a different kind of content out there. So, yeah.
I had something very interesting recently about pricing.
Yeah, so one of the main things and one of the main reasons why I wanted to do this podcast is, I wanted to start up a kind of new conversation around food. And I think it's something that, especially in the baking industry, we don't really... Well, I've never heard people talk about it, and especially I find myself very new in this industry. My background is actually fashion and art and design, so I'm very much used to being kind of like a hermit and just being that kind of artist. I do my work and I come out when I want to. And I think one of the things that any baker kind of struggles with, or anybody in the food industry kind of struggles with, but mainly I'm talking about like baking, is the pricing aspect. Because as much as you want to charge, like I always say, like it's like a standard kind of like everybody's like £50 cakes, but cakes, like bespoke cakes, don't cost like £50. Like if you're gonna get something bespoke and very like coming to me, like, you know, there is a limit, you know, okay. All right, so I'm not charging anything less. Like the smallest that I do right now starts at like 85, or even like really it's between 85 and 100.
Okay.
And so, you know, when you shout those prices, you get people going, oh, and some people are like, oh, you know, and I don't mind people saying to me, oh, I've got a budget of 150, but don't expect the budget of 150 to get you a 3-tier cake.
So wait. What that? What did that mean?
Like when like it's when customers come and then say, oh, I tell them the price and they're like, oh,
like it's shock.
Yeah, it's kind of like a shock, and it's just like, are you actually shocked that, you know, cake can cost this much? Because we're baking from scratch, we're designing from scratch, we're getting all of these like quirky things that you want on a cake. And even me, like I'm sometimes like, you know, I feel like I know that I'm undercharging, but when I talk about pricing, it's not just like trying to say that I should go, you know, everybody go out there and lift up their prices because you're worth that much. There is also a reflection of you yourself. Like I always say, does your brand or does your company reflect how much you want from your customers, if that makes sense? So is your marketing on point? Is your branding on point? You know, is your customer service on point? All of those things total up to you charging a certain amount to a customer.
So are you trying to say, is your branding matching the price that you're trying to charge?
Yeah, basically. I feel like you have to level it up. You can't just ask. The cakes can speak for themselves, but also the packaging has to also speak for it too. So it's a complete package, because most customers are not just buying the cake, they're also buying into the brand as well. So it's like with any massive brand, you're not just buying, you know, you may just say, oh, I'm buying Gucci, or you're buying like Louis Vuitton, but you're also buying into the brand and what the brand stands for. And that's what I see as well when it comes to any kind of product on the market. Lift the branding, the marketing, so people can actually stand up and say, yes, this is worth X amount, you know, X amount of money, and stand by that, you know. So yeah, so I do touch on like those pricing conversations I always feel like they have to be had. And so we also understand the customer's point of view. Like I always say, you have to look at two sides of the coin. You can't just say the customer must pay. Yes, they want to. We want to be paid these grand amounts, but we also have to reflect that. That also has to reflect in our brands and how we package and market ourselves as well to our customers. So yeah.
So someone listening right now, like, how did they get value out of that? How did they take what you're saying, and how's that help them?
Fam, this is like this. I am not like the marketing quick. No, I'm not. I'm joking. Lisimba, you're like putting me on some hotspot here. Like, yo, how do they take this? For me, I suppose, I don't know. I've come from a fashion background, so the way I kind of drill myself is I actually look at myself more as a fashion brand, and how I can, I look at the brands that I want to be. It's all about market research as well. Okay. Look at the brands around you. Look at the cake companies around you, or whatever industry that you're in. Where do you look at the companies you want to be associated with, and then you kind of just take it from there. And the way I kind of take it there is like, I kind of work backwards with my company. I really concentrate, and that's because I didn't really know if I wanted to be a baker or not. A lot of people in my family will tell you, like, I changed my mind. Like, I changed because not only do I bake, I can sew, I can draw, I can what else can I do? I can't knit, but I like doing textiles, so I like making fabrics and stuff like that. Okay. So I change my mind. Like, I wouldn't say like I change my knickers, but like, I'm one of those people who, like, I start creating stuff and I'm like, oh, I can do this, I can do that. And my nan was just like, you need to stick with something. Like, sure. So I've stuck, the cakes have stuck. Yeah. And I kind of, I worked on my product more at first, instead of like loads of people would do the branding and the packaging, and I kind of did that. And I suppose I worked backwards because I really didn't know what kind of shape my company was going to take. In that sense, I didn't know. I wanted it to have a particular character, but for me to find that character, I had to go through the motions of, like I would do if I was doing an art piece. So I kind of explored, like, I don't use fondant. Okay. I started using fondant. That shit is not for me. That shit is like playing with Play-Doh. That's not my forte. I did it and I was like, how do people enjoy rolling this out and covering the cakes? This stuff, like, is not for me. Done, dusted. And my comfortability, what I love doing is I love doing watercolor, abstract kind of stuff. And I was like, okay, how do I bring that into my cakes? That's exactly what I wanted to do. And it all just started off with just like buttercream in a cake, and then I was like, I'm not going to cover it with fondant, and then I started painting on it, and it was just my thing. And then it was kind of just like looking at the look, and my cakes are tall. They're tall for a reason. It's not just a fashion kind of, I like doing tall cakes. It's more of a statement. And one thing is, I found that whenever I went to a birthday party, everybody had to look over the cake, like stand over it, and it would be like, where's the cake? And it would be like, down there. And it would just be like, why aren't cakes in your eye line? Like when you see models on the catwalk, they have long legs, they're in your eye line, they make the garments flow. And that's how kind of the tall cakes kind of started for me. So it was more or less for people to see it before instead of going to look for it, because I always felt like whenever I went to a party, I had to look for where the cake is, but I didn't want people to look for my cakes. I wanted them to be in their eye line, as when they see it, it's in their eye line, they're like, wow, what is it? And so that's how that kind of all came about. And so once I found my character, then I'm at that stage now where I'm just like more looking at my marketing and my packaging. How can I put this all in a package? So I've worked what some would say from the reverse, but I feel like I've done myself justice, because my cakes, everybody knows indulgent sugar plum cake. It doesn't need like heavy branding. You see a tall cake, you're like, that's the indulgent sugar plum. And somebody told me that recently, actually. They were just like, you've got something that not a lot of bakers have. You've got that exact style that you cannot miss. If I went to a party and I saw your like a tall cake, I would know that that's the indulgent sugar plum. So having that on lock, it's kind of just working with the reverse now. And I'm at that stage where I'm more or less like the brand, the actual the product is there. I don't need to fuss and maneuver that. There's just more exploring with it. Whereas now I'm coming back and I'm just like, I need to package this better. I need to have this packaged in the look that reflects what the cakes do, if that makes sense. So yeah, so it's kind of like a new journey for me because, you know, as much as I love sitting down doing admin work, I hate sitting on the computer, but it's a new journey that I'm taking with myself and with my company where I actually have to focus more on that side now and really just putting it together and making those two things meet in terms of packaging, marketing, and how it looks from the offset from a customer's view. Because I'm just here in myself and I can just bang out cakes, but I really want to take the customer's view and how I package that out and make it look shebang good. So yeah, how does somebody take this and use it? I suppose I'm still on this journey as well. Okay. So this is a new journey for me, where I kind of not relax, but I know my product and I know it from the inside out. So I'm taking a new kind of journey and really moving along with it and more treating it like a fashion brand than a cake brand, if that makes sense, because that's what I know. And it's easier for me to think that way because if I was just to think, I don't think like a cake company, and sometimes I don't even like saying it's a cake company, but predominantly that's what it is. It's a cake. It is a cake, but they are very stylish cakes. Toot my own horn, they're very stylish. They're very whimsical. They're dreamlike and they're artistic and they're architectural. They're different from your average normal kind of cakes. And even when I go to events and sometimes I just see my cakes, I'm just like, yeah, but who would want to cut that? Who's trying to cut that? It's just more of a fashion statement. You look at it and you're just like, it goes in well. It's more of a fashion statement. Nobody really wants to eat it, but you know, the whole point is in the end to eat it. I kind of get sad though when people don't eat the cake.
That shows that you're passionate about your food. About
yeah, I know. People say to me like, do you get upset when people cut it? And I'm like, no, I want them to. That's the whole point. I want you to get to the inside. Like when you don't cut it, I'm just like, man, cut the damn cake.
So what, does anybody actually buy your cakes not to cut it, not to eat it?
Yeah, I've heard stories that some people it's just like more for the
decoration.
Yeah, it's for the look, but it's for like the after party, so they're eating it in their own time, but nobody's eating that cake. Okay.
Just to touch on something you said when you said you see your cakes more than just like a cake business, right? Something I guess that you can take out of it is when you're looking at your cake as, let's say, like art. I think we're in an era now, especially with like Instagram and things like that, you eat with your eyes, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So having something that's like bold, that stands out, that's not down the middle, I think is just something that you have to do. And obviously you're doing that with your cakes and stuff. And when I think about cakes and when you're speaking about like the whole experience, like I think like the food business now, it's not just about like making a cake or making some rice or making whatever. It boils down to hospitality.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah? And I think as well that the whole branding thing is about, or what you call a personal brand or your business brand or whatever, it's about reputation.
Definitely.
And for me, the real reason why I just wanted to touch on that is that I think there are people who are, working with food and doing stuff, and they'll spend so much time worrying about the color of a box.
Yeah, you see, stuff like that, for me, I think I kept, for me, when I started with my cakes, I cared more about what the cake tasted like and what the cake actually looked like, because that was what was going to draw people back in. The color of the box is not going to draw people. Are going to be like, it's a beautiful box, but what was inside it was not that beautiful. So that is why, particularly for me, I really homed in on the artistry of my product from the inside to the out. You know, one of the compliments I get is like, oh, well, Nastassja, your cakes taste better than they actually look. And I'm just like, what? But for me, that's the biggest compliment that somebody could give me. Like, they're not saying that they don't look amazing. They are. They look, for them, it looked amazing. And then they got inside and they were like, hold on, this is even more amazing. So for me, that's an even bigger compliment, because that's what I want to know. Like, what's on the inside tastes much more magnificent than what's on the outside. So for me, I would always feel like packaging and character will always come afterwards. Once you've figured out your tastes and your flavors and the real characteristics, the real artistry of your food, whether it's like you going into ice cream. Like, I'm not going to care about the packaging too much right now. I'm going to care about, do the flavors taste good? Are the flavors like, do they sound as sexy? You know, do they sound different? Because, like, especially in the ice cream industry right now, like, the flavors, like, there's crazy amounts of flavors. And like we were discussing before, like, when you told me about the ice cream, I was like, yo, you need to get that puff dough and start doing some puff waffles with that ice cream, because boy, that's just gonna set it off. I was like, yeah, you know, I was like, super malt ice cream, get that right, and that is gonna be banging. You know what I mean? So when you think about that, when you think about those flavors, the packaging will naturally come, because when you start gaining your own characteristics and your own kind of carving your own lane, all of that packaging ideas will come and it will just make itself. Like, that's how I feel now with my I know the packaging that I want. I know like it's got its own voice. People, I don't know if people detach it from me like that, but I know that they probably don't. They see me and they're like, cake lady. I'm like, okay, cool. You know, but I always feel like working on the flavors and the actual core of your business, which is the product. The packaging, the marketing will come later, unless you've got somebody else working on that side by side with you, however you do it. But I'm one of those people who care so much about, like, the flavors, to the point where, yes, people just recognize my cakes, and that's what I've always wanted, that people recognize my cakes without me even saying the indulgent sugar plum. I don't need to say the indulgent sugar plum. People can see it and go, yeah, I know who. I pretty much know the company. You don't need to tell me twice, kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I as you were thinking, and I was trying to think about, like, food that doesn't taste good, and
what food doesn't taste good?
No, okay,
I mean, there's plenty of food that doesn't taste good.
So, and
not to my palate.
I was thinking about, okay, cool. So, like, you got, like, the packaging, the look, and stuff like that, and we've established through what you're saying. Above that sits on top the flavors, right? Yeah, making sure it tastes good and stuff. And then, like, a bit of what, you know, I was trying to say. I'm just, as I'm thinking now, above that, I think sits obviously your reputation and your service. Yeah. Right? And the reason why I was thinking about the service sitting above all of that, and the reason why it came to bad food is, I don't know how you feel, but personally, there's certain, like, places or establishments where I don't particularly like the food. Yeah. It doesn't excite me. Yeah. But I will go back out of consistency. I know what I'm getting. For example, like McDonald's is an example of that.
Yeah, I mean, McDonald's has been established. You know what you're getting. You know what the fries taste like. You know when somebody can smell somebody and you know that they've had McDonald's. Cool.
There is that, yeah.
There is. It's true though. McDonald's has a certain smell. Let's not lie. Like, it's like eating, like, what is it that it's McDonald's and something else that you can just tell that. I can't remember, but it's going to come to me. There's certain foods.
KFC, Sam's.
No. What is it? It's just Subway.
Subway.
Okay. When somebody has Subway, you can just tell that somebody's eating Subway. Maybe it's just me and my sense of smell is very sharp. But when somebody's had Subway, I can smell it.
Do you eat Subway?
It's one of those places. If there is nothing else left, then I will go to Subway.
I refuse. I stopped.
I literally I'm saying it's the bottom. When I say the bottom, and sometimes it's like, do I want to go Subway? The answer is no.
You know what put me off, right? So I used to love it when it first landed. I used to get they used to have the chicken fajita thing.
Yeah.
They stopped that years ago, right?
Yeah.
And then recently, maybe I don't know, 18 months, a year ago, I get like the chicken pizziola.
Yeah.
With like the honey oat bread. I get some jalapenos, some cheese, and da 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 da.
It wasn't banging though.
So you know what the secret is? What you need to do? You need to get the Southwest and the sweet onion. Right? Trust me. Southwest and a sweet onion.
You know the levels.
Yeah, 100%. And just literally 1 or 2 jalapenos, right? You don't want them to just. You know when they go mad and just.
Well, sometimes they go mad, and sometimes they don't go mad enough.
Yeah,
before, like back in the day when I used to do a Subway, I used to be like, more. Like, why are you putting like? I'd ask for green peppers, and my guy's putting like 2. Not even 2, like 1.5. It's just like, why are you being mean for? Like, this is Subway. You're supposed to put as much as you want.
Right.
Like, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Like, and I was just like, why are you being mean for? It's like, what, are you getting paid by, like, literally how much salad you're putting in my Subway? And that was the one that, like, yeah. So
what put me off is, you see, like the chicken now for the chicken pizziola.
Yeah.
It's got grill lines in it, but it's not real chicken. You know, like when you break chicken. So I don't know if it's that.
In Subway.
Okay, so I don't know if it's that. You know, MRM or whatever. Or.
But yeah, like they say they don't do GMO chicken. Like.
Oh, I don't know what GMO chicken is.
GMO chicken, genetically modified.
Oh, no, I don't think it's that. I think, mechanically reclaimed.
Oh, so yeah, the fake chicken. So basically it's not fake chicken, but it's
molded.
Yeah, so it's all the rubbish. It's the soft bone of the chicken. So you know the chicken carcass, right? Mm-hmm. So they grind down the bone and they slap it together with that reclaim. We'd be eating a lot of that.
So you know when that McDonald's documentary first dropped?
Yeah.
I must have stopped eating McDonald's for about 4 or 5 years.
We still grinded with it. No, I'm joking.
So,
I don't even eat McDonald's that much. Just get the fries sometimes.
I can't lie. I had some maybe last week. So
you know what? McDonald's is kind of just like I'll roll with a little bit of McDonald's because I know what I'm getting in it. So
that's it. When you're hungry, it's late. You open up Uber Eats, like you just know what to expect.
I don't order McDonald's from Uber Eats. I don't know why. I don't know. I'm probably like a posh bird. Like for me,
you refuse to pay the £3 delivery or something.
No, but it's just like McDonald's on Uber Eats. Come on, man. Like go on, get Five Guys or something like that, man.
Oh, you're lucky.
I'm like, if I'm gonna get something off Uber Eats, it has to be, like. It's like, I was talking to like one of my interns, she was just like, the other day, when, over the summer, she was like, can you believe I ordered like Morley's off of Uber Eats? And I was like, Jay, for real? Just like, I know that £3 extra, but sometimes it's got to be done. And I was just like, yeah. Like when I order for delivery Uber Eats, I feel like I have to go in, like I gotta get something, so I always
spoil yourself.
Yeah, I do. I spoil myself. Like I'll have a little 5. I've actually got a story about delivery as well. Honestly, I'm like this person who just like full of stories and stuff. But like I'll proper dig in. Like I'll get a Five Guys or whatever, or I look for a burger bar. But I'm one of those people that, how Uber Eats and like delivery have got like everybody on there now. Like before it used to kind of be restaurant premium. So I usually Google what the restaurant, if I've never heard of it before, I'll Google it.
So for me, I'm in the sticks, right? So Harrow, Five Guys and all these things, they're not on there, unfortunately.
Yeah,
so I have no choice. But see how you're Googling restaurants? I hate experimenting when I'm hungry.
Yeah, but that's what I mean, because I don't know the chain, yeah. So, like, for instance, there's this one called Rodeos, like, where I live. Like, so I live, like, Croydon side. So, I really wanted a burger, but I was like, I wanted a chicken burger, and Five Guys don't do chicken burgers. So, I was like, okay. And there's this one that called Rodeo that kept popping up. And then I was just like, I don't know this. So I'll Google it to see what the actual restaurant's like and see if there's any Google reviews as well. So that will help me make my decision. But I've just noticed like Google reviews don't even help my decision, to be honest, because I followed Google reviews and they don't even help me.
So wait, for Rodeos, did it say it was good or bad?
It actually said it was good.
And when you had it, it was...
I didn't end up ordering, but after all of that research, it didn't happen. I ended up ordering, that was just, okay, we're going to this delivery store. I ended up actually ordering, because I wanted jollof rice, and I ended up ordering the jollof rice after having plenty of arguments with delivery that evening. I got the jollof rice, but it didn't bang. It tasted like yesterday's rice, and I had to call the restaurant and go, Uncle, you served me yesterday's rice. And he was like, no, I cooked it fresh this morning. It was just a whole hullabaloo. But, you know, I got a refund and stuff. But, yeah.
I ordered something off Deliveroo. No, it was Uber Eats. Some peri-peri chicken. It came with some nut pitta. Yeah. And the pitta had fungus on it. Right? So, and I tried to tell them, hey, look, I got some fungus on my pitta. Like... Yeah. You know, refund, and then they're trying to tell me, hey, look, it's your problem. Like, well, obviously they said it more politer than that, but like I should deal with the restaurant. So I was trying to tell them, hey, look, no, my transaction was with you. See, so you guys need to like come get it. I was like, look, it's staying in my house. I'm not going nowhere. I wasn't throwing that away for them to tell me, hey, we don't like show us the pitta, bring back the pitta. I was like, the pitta's here, come collect it.
Did they not give you a refund?
Eventually, after back and forth, like they were like, we will refund the cost of the individual pitta.
Now, you see, this is where like me and you differ. Like when I had this nonsense with Deliveroo that day, like it was because they had their drivers were on strike. So I will always pick up the phone to Uber and I will demand that they give me free food. I'm one of those people that literally will demand like, yo, you need to refund me the whole meal because you've made my night horrible, because I've been waiting for my food for hours. Like literally press on them, because you know, obviously I know delivery, it's out of delivery's hands, and you know the restaurant shouldn't be doing stuff like that, but you know, like come on, like you wait all that time and you get fungus on your pita bread.
So okay, cool. So I was in like, so okay, cool. Part of me was pissed that there was fungus on the pita, right? But at the same time, it was one of those meal deal things. Like I didn't even want the pita, right? Yeah. But the pita came. But it was kind of principle that I paid for this. I shouldn't have fungus on my food, right? Yeah. Like I was just using balance only because of, look, yes, that experience was a bit negative, but at the same time, Uber, although it's a different division of Uber Eats, like on when I've had like a cab taxi ride before and it's been like too much. Yeah. On 3 separate occasions, I just asked them once and they refund the money. No questions asked. Like, so the service has been on point. I don't want to be like that person just like, you know, like points of view. Yeah, but I
understand that, because like this is a thing for me, right? And this is going back to what we were talking about in the beginning about service, right? Yeah. If I get shit service from somewhere, but they deal with my query like that, like super fast without no hassle, I'm actually going to go back to the establishment, because I know that the way they handle their customer queries is like on point and really, really like efficient. It's when you go to somewhere where the food may be great, but the service is really lacking. I had this recently where I went to this cafe. Now, there was, you know, my sisters really, really wanted to go, but, you know, she didn't end up, like, I ended up going up with one of my other sisters, right? We went to this cafe, like, okay, there was a queue. Don't mind about queuing up for stuff, because that's a whole thing. That's a new trend. Like, if you queue up for something, it's trendy. So, getting to this cafe now, it took them, like, 25 minutes for them to come over and say, what would you... And they didn't even actually come over. I had to be like, hey, Can I just get a coffee and a slice of cake? And then it's just like, even when he came over, the lackluster of like apologies for the wait, or, you know, and he was just kind of like, what do you want to order? And I was like, I literally looked at him and I said, the service in here is abysmal, you know, and for that will not make me want to go back, because I just know that the service is just like a little bit trash. Well, not a little, that day it was trash. Will I try another branch? Probably. But because my experience, like in my head, I had trash experience, and the guy didn't even apologize for, you know, like the whole wait. It's kind of like, that's what makes it key. So for me, yes, I've had bad experiences in places, but what is also key is the way that the person deals with the issue that you have. Are they efficient? Do they give you, like, whether it's a refund or a token or just an apology for the delays? Those are the things that make the difference. Like, I'm not one of those people that, I've had bad service, or they gave me something wrong. It's happened on so many occasions. You go to a restaurant, they brought out the wrong food and stuff, and they'll replace it for you. I'm not fussed, as long as you deal with the issue efficiently. That's what I'm looking for. That's what will bring me back, regardless of, you know, cool. Even if I've waited longer and then you apologize and say, oh, sorry for the wait, cool.
No,
it's just the acknowledgement of, like, we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing, but we're acknowledging that, you know. There's plenty of times I've waited extra time for my food and they've been like, oh, here's a glass of wine. And I'll be like, hey, you know, keep me going, you know. Those are the kind of things that make me want to come back to somewhere, just because, like, they've acknowledged their little mishap or something's not right. Or sometimes I don't even notice. They're like, here you go, here's a free glass of wine. So yeah, it's when people don't deal with it efficiently, that's when I'm just like, hold on, you're talking all of this jargon, but you've made me wait for like over an hour for something that's come and it's not even what I've ordered.
You know, saying that, I'm just smiling because I remember my time out in Ghana.
Yeah.
And my patience was tested numerous occasions where you'd order something in a restaurant, right?
Yeah.
Half an hour, 40 minutes later, they come back and they'd be like, oh, sorry, we don't have da-da-da-da-da, right? So you're hungry now, right?
Yeah.
So then you make another order. An hour passes now, right? Then they bring out the wrong food. So, and you're hungry, so you're just like, let me just eat this.
Yeah.
It's not what you wanted, but you have no choice,
Yeah,
right?
because you've been waiting far too long for what you've ordered.
And this happened like multiple times. So, yeah, I know about patience.
Yeah, I mean, touching on the service kind of thing, I think I've experienced where, you know, I've had mishaps as well with customers, and it's really the way I deal with the customers, that how you deal with customers that really kind of makes it worthwhile for the customer to come back, if that makes sense. So I always say to people, you know, things are going to happen, mishaps are going to happen when you're running a business, but it's the way you deal with it that makes it, you know, that makes a customer want to come back. Deal with your customers efficiently, like especially in the service, like we're at customer service, like food industry is like probably, you know, horror stories and stuff, but it's the way you deal with your customers and how efficient you are with them, that is what makes people come back. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm like mad hard to please in restaurants and stuff. My sisters will probably tell you different, but when the service is kind of like abysmal, I'm just like kind of, you know. So
touching on what you just said about like service, I don't know where I heard this or who I could quote. I wish I did remember, but there's some theory or something written about when you make up for bad service. So like you're as a brand or a company, you're apologizing. That's actually, I guess, the opportunity when people become more tied to a brand. Yeah. In the way that they made up for something.
But that's what I'm saying, like that's how I feel. Like if like I have a bad, like go into a restaurant or whether it's a shop or whatever happens, I have a bad experience, it's the way that the company deal with it, that always makes me have that loyalty. Like, like, I know if I go in here and it's gonna be like they mess up, I know they're gonna rectify it. You know what I mean? Because you know, the last time I came in here, they rectified it ASAP. It's the ones that feel like we're not gonna rectify, we're not hearing you, and they make it into, we're not hearing you, this is what we're gonna stand by, and that's it, kind of thing. I mean, there is that theory as well that the customer's always right. How do I feel about that?
Do you think they're always right?
I'm a customer. I'm a business owner. You know, I've dealt with some things that I'm just like, you're not right. I wouldn't say you're. In some cases, they've not been right. And even when you're not right, how do I deal with a customer that's not right and hope for the best? You know, hopefully they come back. Sometimes it's, you just actually have to lay it down to them, like give them the evidence and say, this is what you've done, this is not the way, this is what we've said, and this is what you've not read.
So wait, give us, it doesn't have to be, because you don't have to relate to a specific customer you've had, but just give a general scenario of a customer who is wrong.
I'm trying to think of a scenario without kind of... Okay, here's one that often gets kind of missed, right? I have say in my email, when somebody orders, I have particular collection times for cakes. So I will send you that email, and within that collection email, once you've confirmed your order and I've received your payment and stuff, I'll send you that and say, here's the collection times. And then there is another kind of, there's highlighted in kind of bold is the cake care instructions. So I also deliver cake care instructions because my cakes aren't covered by fondant, so you have to, I expect you to, that I'm giving you that information, I'm expecting you to read it. I've emailed you, so you have to read it. So I'm saying that I've received your payment, but there is also this and this and this and this, you know. And for instance, hypothetically, somebody will receive the email, but they won't read it. And then the day of their collection will come and they will call me and they'll be like, oh, they'll come, say, round about like 8 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, and they'll be like, hey, I'm here to collect my cake. And I'm like, and I'm not in the house. Yeah, but I'm here to collect the cake. And I'm like, yeah, if you see on the email, the collection times are stated. And it does say, if you want earlier, let me know. Oh, well, I didn't read the email. Well, whose fault is that? Well, I got to be somewhere, and it's no longer any of my business. That's your fault for not reading it, and that's your fault for not telling me that you wanted to collect it at a particular time. So in that case, you do have to, for me, I will relay the rules to you because the rules and the guidelines have been set. It's your fault for not reading them. I can't help you.
Okay.
Like at that stage in my life, I will tell you, I can't help you. I'll get back as soon as possible, but I cannot help you in that sense because those are the guidelines. If you didn't tell me earlier, I'm sorry, because, you know, so that's just like a hypothetical one. So, yeah.
So,
I mean, in that sense, how do I help the customer? I can only get back as soon as I can.
So, I 100% I get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I think that, like, yeah, it's blatantly obvious that the customer needed to read their material and The thing is, I guess why I'm hesitating and things like that is I do believe in the whole thing. The customer's right. Yeah. Yeah,
but if you don't read the information, it's like you book in something, and then it says you have to bring your slippers, and you get there and you don't have your slippers, and they're like, well, it says in the email that you have to bring your slippers, so what are you going to do?
Cool. So the example I might use is looking at an airline versus like a hotel, right?
Yeah.
So wait, let me land. Right?
You know, like my lips are hesitant, like go.
So like an airline, right? You show up, your bag's overweight, or you have something that you can't really carry.
Yeah.
It's like, sorry, sir, we can't really help you.
Yeah.
Or you have to upgrade your baggage, or right? Now, versus like the hotel, right? I look at somebody that might turn up for their room a bit early, and they're like, "Oh, sorry, we can't accommodate you.
Yeah.
We don't have this room, that room, The reason why I'm using those two examples, in my head, I'm thinking like a very good hotel, right?
Yeah.
Might do something along the lines of, "You're too early, right? Your room's not ready.
Yeah.
However, this is what we're gonna do for you. You can go have some lunch in our restaurant on us, or we're going to accommodate this, or we're going to put you in this room, which is ready now," or just like options, right?
Okay.
So wait, hold on. Options, right?
Yeah.
And the thing where I think about those options, I think adds to the whole hospitality experience. Because as much as they're wrong, they are wrong because they turned up early. In their eyes, if you look at it from empathy, trying to deploy empathy, how they feel in the minute, how do you make that experience for them?
I'm going to counteract that.
Okay.
They knew that they're turning up early. They know that their room isn't ready by a certain time because they've read the email.
So,
and in this case, the customer didn't read the email. So you turning up early, that is more that you knew at the hotel that you're turning up early.
But if both scenarios are the same, and the person's saying,
but you know that your room isn't ready at the hotel up until a certain time. That's what I'm saying. You know that your room's not going to be ready by 2:00, so but you've turned up at 1:00.
Put yourself in their shoes, right?
Yeah.
How would you like to be treated in that scenario?
Well, if the person's not there and I'm here to collect my thing.
Okay, cool.
Right, okay. I'm here to collect my goods. I did not read the email to say that this is unavailable up until this certain time.
Yeah.
Right? So that as a customer, I'm going, for me, I'm going to take that as a big L for myself.
Okay.
How can the other person, if that other person isn't in the vicinity, the only thing that they can do, it's different. If I'm in the vicinity and you've turned up, I can help you, I can accommodate you. But if I'm not in the vicinity, then the only thing that I can do as the person providing the service is quickly get back as soon as possible.
Sure.
And that's all I can say to them. I will now get back as soon as possible.
If you can accommodate that, right?
If I can accommodate that. I'm not going to say to them, well, I'm just going to, I will always say to someone, look, I'm going to get back as soon as possible. But if they complain and make a big hoo-ha about it, I will always say you cannot make a big hoo-ha about it because it was in the email. And then if they say to me, well, I didn't read it, how can I help you? It's like, how do I help you if you're not going to read the information provided to
Sure.
you?
So, okay, cool. So I guess what I'm getting at is that you do have unreasonable people. I'm not saying that there aren't, right?
And there isn't. And if somebody says they didn't read that, that's kind of just then to me, okay, where can I put that kind of collection thing? How do I stab it in? Not stab it. That's stamp it. That's how do I put that in the forefront of customers' minds? What else can I do?
Oh, you answered the question.
No. Then I start to think if she or he didn't see that were reluctant to read the email, where else can I put that? I'll put that on my website. I'll put that on, Instagram is limited to how many things you can, words you can use. Maybe I put that on my Facebook. So you start thinking about those things. But overall, sometimes you got to look at it like this. It's, if you're given the information, it's your responsibility to read it. There's plenty of times where people, there's plenty of, it's it's your responsibility when you pick up something in the shop. It's your responsibility to read it and to read the label of what's in it. You know what I mean? So there are certain things that you got to has from the other side, even has a customer, right?
Okay.
Sometimes, like, I can pick up the wrong thing in a shop, right? And then pay for it, get home and find out, oh man, like it's the wrong thing. I need to take responsibility for that because I didn't pick that up and read it. I just picked it up, assumingly, and went, but you should always pick up something and read the label. When you get a document, you should always read it. It's like getting the fine print of any contract, yeah, and you sign it over, and then in the contract, in the small letters where they say you should read the terms and conditions, you didn't read that. Oh, you're bound to this contract for like 3 months. You can't cancel within the first 3 months. And then you go back to them and say, oh, well, I want to cancel within the first 2 months, and they're like, well, in the contract it says you can't cancel within the first 3 months, and they're like, but you got the terms and conditions. It's up to you to read the terms and conditions, right?
But, all right, cool. So on that note, right, we all, like, for our history have known a gym, right, that's got us caught up like that, right?
Yes.
Like, where it's like, oh, I want to cancel my contract, and it's like, oh, you have to give us 30 days notice.
Yeah.
I'm going to take 2 payments. And
Yeah.
But how did you feel about that, Jim?
To be honest, I can't fight. I was miffed off, but at the same time, I didn't read the contract in it, so I can only take the L. For me, there is some things in life that you can fight for, and there's some things that you just be like, you got to take the L. Just take the L and just keep it moving, and you know for next time, innit? That's how I see things. I can't fight for something. There's some things I feel like, you know, when you use the term customer's always right, customer's always right. What happens is, especially with small businesses, we become we then are at the mercy of our customers. We then are kind of just like on our knees to our customers. Do you get what I mean? Whereas it's kind of just like, for me, it's kind of like, if I'm providing you with all the information and you choose to ignore it, that is your L. Because I've given you the information. If I didn't give you the information, I'm free to take all the blame, and I'm liable to do what I can to help your situation. Do you understand? But I don't like that term because, especially as a business owner, sometimes it then becomes like you're now at the mercy of every single customer, if that makes sense. Like some customers like to cripple you, like into oh, I'm right, and they don't want to accept that. Hold on, let me see the bigger picture in this. Like, the bigger picture is I need to take the L because I didn't do what I was meant to do. And if they do give me something, it's out of their generosity, but really I should just take the L.
Cool. So my opinion on that is, generally, just my personal opinion, one man's point of view, the customer is generally always right? Hold on, let me land.
Okay. I'm not saying I'm not disagreeing with that, but I'm just saying that at times there are times when you just have to come away from it and just be like, okay, if I start being at the mercy of every single person that points like, oh this and oh that, yeah, you're going to crumble. And sometimes as a business owner, you got to stand up for yourself.
So, okay.
Stand up. You have to stand up for yourself and say, hey, this is my line. You are wrong. But there are times when I say, yeah, hey, here's the information. You are wrong. But because there is this hoo-ha, I can do this for you. And if they don't accept what I can do for them, hey, I've tried my best.
So, okay, cool.
I've met you in the middle.
So what you just said just now about you can do for them is what I wanted to just touch on. Right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I think that for me, putting the customer first and understanding things from perhaps their point of view, even if they're like arrogant, ignorant, or unaccommodating for how you are, I just personally think that giving them options as opposed to tough helps show that you're giving them.
So, but what about those ones that just want free shit?
Cool. So that's what I mean. There's
I'm telling you, I'm gonna throw all the scenarios at you because like there are like I said, there are times when you have to be tough and stand your ground in it.
All right, cool. So what I was gonna say before we touch on the free stuff, right? using the hotel example, right? The person that turns up early, you could say to them, okay, you could upgrade to so suite, which is available if you, you know, if you're too early for the room you were ready with. Using the baggage example, right? You can't carry that baggage, but, you know, we'll give you an option to upgrade so you don't just have to leave yourself in the airport, right? The person that comes up early for delivery, I'm not saying you have to do this, but look, you're in London and you're saying, look, I get back from Sheffield in later this evening, that's when your collection time is, or you can pay for my Uber now, right? So
I mean, you give those people those options,
but I'm just saying that they're reasonable people if you just try and meet them. Even I just think it's a mad opportunity to show them, increase that that reputation of that you will go the extra mile for them, and it doesn't have to be crippling if you pass on those costs, if they're willing to accommodate that. Now the people that want free, that steps into the realm of like, I'm not a prick, right? So when you step into that realm, because everybody knows that, cool, you know there's a difference between that person that calls you and they're being a prick on the phone and are like, no, you'll come now and I want it free and versus the person who's like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't read the email, I got a train, I got a flight, I'm flying back to, I just came to this country.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. Those ones are, those scenarios are completely understandable. And like I said, I can only say to them, like for me, it's like, I will do my best to get back to them in time. To be honest, you paying for me, that if you want to, I don't even give customers that. Usually in those, if ever in that scenario, it's like, you know what, I'm gonna drop what I'm doing and I'm gonna head out. Cool, you know. And communication for me is always key. But yeah, I just think that at times, as a business owner, and I get it when you have mishaps with these other companies and they just stand their ground. They're like, this is what we can do for you, love. Like, because it's a scenario that they've possibly played out many, many a times before. And there is a point where I do say, you do have to stand your ground and you do have to stand up for, you know, your company and what you believe in, because anybody can come in and go this and this and this and this, blah, 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 blah. I mean, if I'm being real honest, I just pass those on to my sister, if anything. She's like my second opinion, because I'm just like, yo, like, what we got to do, you know, this is, you know, there's been an instance when I've just been to my sister, how we going to handle this one? You think, the fact is, I thought I was tough, but my sister's even tougher. She's just like, this is what you're going to, she just like, yeah, I'll respond. And she, for her, it's just like, shh. And one of the things she always says is like, for me, it's much more harder to respond in a stand your ground kind of way, because it's my baby.
What do you mean by that?
As in, like, because it's like my cakes are my babies, and I love them that much. Sure. You always want to make everybody happy. You become a people pleaser. You're just like, I'm gonna please you. I'm gonna give you this, this one, this. My sister's like, nah, babes, stand your ground. Not every day free cakes. Sometimes just stand your ground. You know, let's go through the email trail. Okay, let's point at stuff. And then you can say, when it comes down to this, she'll always give me, when it comes down to this is what you can do for them. You know, but draw the line. Because if you don't draw the line anywhere, everybody gonna be taking the piss out of you. Sure. And that's the thing. That's why I say, like, for me, yes, we can say the customer's always right, but you know, there are times where you have to draw the line and say, babes, you think you're right, but here's the deal. This is what you've done. This is how we're going to deal with it. And then it's up to them to take it or leave it. You know, and it's not, you don't do it, I don't feel like doing it in an aggressive way, but you know, there are those customers that we've all experienced, maybe not even a customer, sometimes you've gone into a shop and they're just handling you aggressive, you know, but in that sense, like for me, customer service is always key. And the way you deal with people is always key, kind of thing. So just the way it's just the management. And I try and manage everything in love and in cake and in peace. You know, sometimes you have to bring out the big guns, but not all the time. And not every day. Not every day like shouting. Sometimes everything. Not even shouting. Not every day like war. Sometimes just like cake and love, innit?
Cake and love.
Cake and love. That's it.
I like it. But I think I mostly agree. I don't think it should be crippling. That makes no sense.
It shouldn't be. Like, so. I think one thing that I've learned through running a business is you probably have to do a lot of standing your ground and doing it in the most eloquent way possible, because you are going to meet a lot of different people. You are going to meet a lot of different walks of life, and you're going to have to, change up tones here and there, but do it in the most eloquent way as possible and be truthful to yourself. I think sometimes we do get lost in, oh my gosh, the customer's right, so I always have to do this and this and this. No. Sometimes be your authentic self, because at the end of the day, it is your business. And it is your pride and joy, and that person doesn't know the journey that you've come from. They're just trying to get what they want. But listening is key as well. I always like my 2 rules of life. Listening is key, and what's the other one? Reading is fundamental. I've forgotten. So listening is key, and reading is fundamental as well. So, and I think I've learned through running a business, like, just read the small prints, man. As long as it takes you, just read the small prints, because there's gonna be like little catches that you don't know in it. So yeah, that's what I say.
100%. I think we've kind of spoken about like what we're going to be speaking about generally in the podcast. I think
we just went kind of straight into it. We went into kind of like loads of different topics, but
cool.
So yeah, I guess like this kind of episode kind of gives you an intro into what we'll be talking about and the different topics that we've been hitting. Like, I felt like this one is quite like hard hit. I feel like we went into some deep topics, but I suppose what we're going to do is like everything that we've kind of touched on today, we'll touch on definitely again and expand on it a bit more. This is more kind of like taster of like personalities, what we're going to be doing.
Yeah, 100%. We're going to be expanding on this. We're going to have like guests in the future, and there'll be some segments as well.
Yeah, like we'll have flavors of the like one of our segments is going to be flavors from the continent. So we're going to be exploring different things that's happening on the continents of Africa, basically on every single continent that we love, and all the food. Because as much as like I'm from Zimbabwe, so and got loads of like Southern African heritage in me, so like definitely flavors from there. Flavors from West Africa, flavors from the Caribbean, South America, like everywhere that we can touch down, and everywhere that we enjoy food from.
Do you remember where I'm from?
With a surname like Pink, it could be anywhere, like Caribbean.
You're warm.
What part of the Caribbean?
Mm-hmm.
You're like one of those small island people, innit?
Small island people.
I'm joking. Jamaica.
Yes. You got it right.
Jamaica.
100%.
But you've lived in Ghana.
I have. It's 3 years. 3 years in Ghana. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've been on the Mother Africa continent, the Mama Africa continent. You've done business like Lisimba. You've got like mad like business knowledge, and you've had a business in Ghana and stuff like that. So like we're gonna go through like most of our history of like business working wise, where we're going, and I think this podcast is going to follow our journeys as individuals and together, and in what we're doing and how we're growing, and just like shit that we love.
Yeah, 100%. I think for both of us, I think it's also like just trying to bring some value to the community. I think that's what mostly this is really born out of. And also that comes out of also sharing our stories, our journey.
Because I like to talk.
I know the next 12 months are gonna be crazy for both of us. So just trying to share that. As I mentioned, some guests also got like this quiz as well.
Yeah, so we're gonna be doing like loads of fun stuff like around food. Like I call it fun stuff, but it's just kind of like stuff I like doing. So we're gonna do like loads of food quizzes. We're gonna do. Lisimba wants me to try other people's cakes. I don't know how that's gonna go down. I mean, I do eat other people. Let's get this straight, right? People ask me all the time, do I eat other people's cakes? I do.
What's the last time you had someone's cake? 1990.
Okay, the last time I had somebody else's sponge.
Oh, you had some of the carrot cake the other day.
Yeah, okay. I can't really classify that because you asked me to try it, but I wasn't trying to try it.
Okay.
If you get what I mean. Like, we were in prep and you were just like, try it. And I was like...
You felt under pressure?
I just tried it because I was... You know what? I tried it out of hunger, but I wasn't trying to try it. Like, because I don't like carrot cake. It was carrot cake, but I don't like carrot cakes with nuts in it.
You know the best ones are with walnuts though, right?
Yeah, no. So anyway, I don't like carrot cakes with nuts in it.
Okay.
So anyway, the last time I actually had somebody else's sponge, like directly going to that person and going, yo, I want sponge, was for my birthday last year. And I got 2 different cakes. I got one from Tracy, who runs Sugarcraft Boutique in Dulwich, and she did me a rum cake, and that banged. And then I got another set of cupcakes. Yeah.
So we're looking forward to you trying some. I want to do it blindfolded. I want you blindfolded. You don't know whose cake is yours.
We're going to be doing all of this, like, literally blindfolding it, like, trying different foods and stuff. Like, yeah. I'm up for it. I mean, it's not that I don't eat other people's sponges. I always feel kind of, like, bad when people ask me, do you eat? I eat, like, outside of because I make cake a lot, right? I don't purposely, like, it's not like my vision to go out there and buy another sponge cake because I'm so acquainted to my own sponge cake. So
yeah, of course.
Just generally, my sponge cakes kicks ass. They're like in my books, like, I have quiet nights in my bed with my sponge cake. Nobody's trying to disturb me.
Sure.
I don't like to. No, yeah, I don't like to be disturbed when I'm eating my own cake. Like it's a moment, like
sure.
But outside of cake, I'm a huge dessert fan. So I will go out to, like, today, even on my way here, I bought, like, 3 nutters. Like, literally, that's just, like, my thing. Like, I love desserts, like cheesecakes. The one thing, I'll be honest, the one thing that I won't eat, I'll have other people's sponge, but the one thing that I will not have from outside, for sure, brownies.
Oh, okay.
I do not buy outside brownies because I don't know what... Every brownie that I've tasted apart from mine, it tastes like chalk. And I just don't understand. I didn't even like brownies before I started making cake. Like, it was one of those things that I never enjoyed because whenever I had a brownie, they were like dry and chalky and they were just like... It's just... And since I've been making brownies, I've literally changed... I feel like my brownies have changed the game.
So it'd be cool to do some like taste tests because like there's this website Gold Belly in America where you can order like gourmet foods and stuff. I don't know if you can order them to here, but I saw a YouTube video. They had like these $50-$60 like brownies. Like they must taste good to you know.
I mean, to be honest, I'm up for trying them. I haven't tasted a brownie that's better than mine yet.
Okay.
So I mean, I can tell you, like, my brother don't even like brownies that much, and he told me that my brownies bang. Okay. And I trust my brother because he's got a good palate.
Sure.
He's got a good food palate.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah. So
do you want to explain to them what fat palate is?
Oh, fat boy palate. Oh, so tell So okay, so my brother loves food.
Yeah.
Like and he's a really good cook as well. I think one of the things about my family is everybody's quite a good, well, out of me and my siblings, my mum. My mum's like an amazing chef. She studied food science and she's hands down like one of the best cooks ever. And then everybody, all of my siblings, we all kind of have our signature kind of dish. You know, like one of my sisters, her cooking has come up now. Like she, you know, we're proud of her for that. But my brother's got this thing where he one day we were having a conversation about food, and I was like, no, because he had just come back from he went to New York, and he was doing some work out there, and he was like, yeah, so he was excited to go to have Caribbean food out there. So I was like, yeah, so how was the food? And he was just like, oh, like they went to this one Caribbean shop, and he was like, it was actually awful. He was like, Caribbean in New York does not bang. And I was like, for real? And he was like, you'd expect it to bang. And I was like, no, you didn't go to the right place. And he was like, look, he asked everybody, like, you know where he was. And the thing is, his friend that was hosting him was really excited to take him to this place because he knows how much my brother loves food. And so he said when he tasted it, he was like, oh, it's awful. And he was like, I realized that my friend's got fat boy palate. And I was like, what the heck is fat boy palate? And he was like, you know, them palates there that just they just eat food but they have no flavor whatsoever. So he's got just that palate, like they'll just tell you everything is good, but really like he can't differentiate what's shit and what's good. So it's just like there's some people who he'll just say, you know, like he'll be like, that guy's got a fat boy palate and like that food isn't good. And so that's our way. Like fat boy palate, you don't need to be big or skinny to have fat boy palate. Like you can just it's just somebody who just thinks that everything that they taste is awesome or great, you know. And I know a few people like they taste the food, they're just like, this is not good food, mate.
Sure. I thought it was just good that you share that as a little disclaimer for the intro. So if you're overweight and you're listening in the
don't
future,
feel like that, because like I know that there's some things I probably have fat boy palate too.
Okay.
You know, I don't know what that is yet.
Sure.
But, you know, I'm sure I've come across stuff and I've just been like, oh, it tastes good. And then it's like my brother's gone to me, or no, it don't. It tastes
well, as we're tasting, we'll come out and we'll find that. You know, I'm actually looking forward to taking this on the road, like abroad, and trying food and stuff
like we've got some, I wouldn't say massive dreams, but we are like looking to evolve this. Like Juice and the Sauce is going to be like the food kind of connoisseurs. Are we food connoisseurs? I mean, I find myself, I'm a dessert connoisseur. Like there's certain desserts that I don't like. Like I'm not yet down with the meringue. I'm yet to be down with the meringue. It's like one of my hopes in the future. I've got hopes that one day I'll be down with meringues, and but it's just one of those things where I'm not down with it yet.
I don't think I'm a food connoisseur. I think I'm a foodie. Yeah. 100% like a foodie that loves food.
We're major foodies then.
Yeah, 100%. Like I love like the experience food, like the opening, the taking pictures, like I love that. So
yeah, and we'll definitely, like one of the things is we'll definitely be given like places we've been like to eat and where we can get, like I'll tell you the best probably desserts, like the best kind of nifty desserts that I've had. Like okay, so I've gone to, like today I've got like some Portuguese tarts.
Okay.
And I'm really excited to try these ones because they're different flavors. The apple, I've got apple cinnamon, I've got raspberry, and what else? I've got coconut.
Okay.
And it's from Cafe de Nata.
Okay.
The Portuguese tart place. And so I'm really excited to try these. Next episode, I'll give you my feedback on them. I eat dessert for days, like literally. I'm always sugared up. Always sugared up. Hence Miss Sugar Plum. Always sugared up. But yeah, I love desserts in it, so I will always go out my way. I'm one of those people that will travel for desserts. If you tell me that, yo, you need to come and try this, like I'm there. I will make way. I'm one of those people, I read the dessert menu before I actually read the food menu in restaurants. I don't really care about the food that much because it's either going to be a burger or it's going to be rice and chicken or something. You know, like I actually care about what I'm having after. Like, so I have to plan my meal strategically so that the dessert is like, that's my main spot. The thing that finishes the meal, dessert, like that has to be I need to have that space for dessert.
So me and desserts, strange relationship. I love dessert. Like, I got a super sweet tooth.
Yeah.
The thing is, I kind of feel, I don't know how you feel about this, a lot of restaurants don't put effort into the dessert.
Yeah, there's a reason for that though.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so
Share.
Okay, so this is something I found out the more I've baked and the more I've kind of just gone around to when I've gone to restaurants with my cakes and stuff. And, you know, pastry chefs, like to actually have an in-house pastry chef in a restaurant is very expensive. It's a very, 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 very expensive because it's not, I think it's like, is it a dying trade? It's like, there are loads of pastry chefs out there, but to have an in-house one that makes your pastries and your desserts from fresh is so expensive because it's one of those kind of trades that, you know, like if you're getting a pastry chef, you kind of have to have another kitchen separate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Depending on what kind of pastries you're serving. And so to have somebody make fresh pastries and fresh cheesecake every single day, those are like what the Michelin kind of star restaurants do, and those kind of really those prestigious restaurants do. And even at that, some of those restaurants, what they usually do is they do have an in-house pastry chef, but they don't make everything from scratch. So they'll order in a lot of so there are companies that literally provide desserts for say something like your average kind of pizza chain. You know, they're not going to have a pastry chef in-house. That's going to cost it. Imagine how many chains that they've got and you want them to have an individual pastry chef. That's a lot of money. So what they will do is they'll have a pastry person, they'll have a chef that deals with pastry, and basically they'll order in. They'll have a company which they'll just order in the cheesecakes from, the brownies from. So it's kind of like a standard kind of flavor. I only know this because a restaurant wanted me to come in if I could provide like brownies and stuff for them, because it's just to have a separate pastry chef. It costs a lot of money. You know, pastry chefs aren't cheap. You know, the work isn't cheap. I mean, I've once made croissants in my life, and let me tell you, I'm not trying to make that experience happen again anytime soon. It was great for me to do in my fun spare time, but like making a croissant, like that takes, I think it's like it's at least like a 2-day prep if I'm honest. I think
you have to fold.
So it's rolling, like the whole procedure of making like croissants, like it's layers of pastry. So what it is, layers of pastry and butter. So like literally
to get the flakes, right?
to get the kind of
layers,
layers inside.
Yeah.
So a pastry, like a croissant, should have loads of like thin layers of pastry. I mean, an in-house, imagine just having having an in-house like pastry chef for every single prep. It's not going to fly. So what most companies do is they have like somewhere where they just order it from a company which does like frozen, whether it's like frozen desserts or whatever. They prep the desserts, put in the freezer, and it's just taken out. I'm sorry if I'm talking about like restaurants trade secrets here. I thought people knew this. Like, I actually thought people knew this, because a lot, like you're saying, that when you go to restaurants, like the most disappointing thing is like the desserts. But it depends. Like if I'm going to like my average kind of like chicken chain like Nando's or Pizza Express or something, I know I'm not going to get like a super duper top dessert, so I'm not really worried. But when I'm going out to, you know, like your premium restaurants, I am going to be worried. I am going to make the effort to try the desserts. But yeah, it's that kind of thing, because a pastry chef is very expensive to have in your kitchen, you know, and to actually have a separate part of the kitchen just dedicated to pastry. And the reason why is because pastry needs to be kept like if you're working with like short crust pastry and all the different kinds of doughs, they all have to be kept at a certain temperature, and that's what people don't understand. Like even me working with cake, I prefer working in a very well air conditioned room, which is like, you know, super cool, because once you take the cake out of like the fridge, if you're putting it in the fridge, when it comes to room temperature, it starts sweating and you have all of those kind of things. So yeah, there's a lot of intricacies around it. So therefore, most of the time, if you do go to your average chain, they've literally just taken like the cheesecake out of like the freezer or, you know, on that day, and then they've just let it defrost, just generally, and then that's it.
So,
Defrost and serve.
Just touching on what you just said about like secrets and stuff.
Yeah.
I guess for everybody listening or anybody watching, like it's good to, you know, share these, you know, secrets with the people. Like I obviously personally I was aware of that kind of thing went along
Yeah.
when it happened because of, you know, those trade shows that had like Excel or Olympia. I can't remember which one. But yeah, you get these food vendors and they
like
just to
it's a
restaurants
big
and stuff.
thing. Like you could be just like a food vendor that literally just supplies cheesecake to like Pizza Express or whatever, and you know, because it's just like consistent quality, that's what happens. Like a lot of cafes don't bake. Like they literally order in from someone who do, like wholesalers that do bake, and like literally if you go to like Smithfield's market in the morning, they've actually got they've got like a little bakery. They've got a baker's in there where loads of cafes go through there and order their croissants and stuff every single morning or every 2 days. You know, because I was talking to the dude and he was like, yeah, I supplied this place and this place. And I was like, for real? Okay. You know, so, you know, that's how it kind of works. I wouldn't say we're talking about trade secrets. I suppose it is things that happen, and loads of shows talk about this as well.
So like, I think it's one of those things that it's funny. It's like if you know, you know. Like, if you're in
definitely.
It's like, oh, like that's obvious. But if you didn't know, you didn't know. If you had nobody to tell you, right?
Yeah.
Because there's so many people, like I don't know, home bakers, people selling on Instagram, not knowing that, you know, they could supply their local cafe or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, some of them do already. Like wholesaling is like, for me, like in baking, people have asked me, can you start supplying us? Like, to be honest, I don't want to. Like wholesale is not what I want to do right now, because it means that I'm consistently baking, but it's another edge of it's another avenue of baking where you just bake supply and demand. Is it called supply and demand? You're just supplying people.
Basically.
You're just supplying your local cafes and people in the area with cake, and that's more kind of a consistent, you're like literally working every single day mixing dough and blah blah blah, whereas I'm a bespoke cake artist, so I like to just deal with like my bespoke cake orders as they come in, and just whether it's like 4 cakes a week, 6 cakes a week, however many cakes I'm doing a week. But I love to, for me, spending time on the artistry is what I'm down with. Not really just churning out cake. I've done it before. We will go into depths about like literally running, like when I ran my cafe and stuff, and the experience I've got. Definitely in the future, definitely want to have another shop. But just I actually know this time when I had the cafe, I know what I like and what I don't like. So that was really, I'm so blessed to have had that experience and know going into it second time round how to structure this super convenience store that I've got envisioned for the future. So yeah.
Interesting. I over the next 12 months may or may not have a shop. So it'll be interesting to speak about that using my previous experience of my last restaurant. I'm very much, I guess why I'm pausing, I'm very much leaning towards like this whole cloud kitchen, dark kitchen kind of thing. Just selling on like Deliveroo or Uber Eats, so I'll be interested to explore that. And I guess speak to other people who are doing the same thing, you know, maybe.
So we're going to cover like range of topics, mad stories. I know, like I had this mad what was this like mad stories about Uber. Like I had a Uber incident today.
Yes.
Like this is how short or long, but you know, like Uber, like I love the whole concept of Uber, and you know, like when these things happen, like what happened today in Uber, it makes me miss driving.
Okay.
So I prefer sometimes to do my deliveries with Uber because, like, after I've done just a big bit, I just want to be a passenger. The stress of driving is just like, oh man, you know, driving on like about 3 hours sleep is not what you want to do. So anyway. Some Uber drivers are just ratchet in it. Like, and when I'm carrying my cakes, I always say to them, like, look, just because it looks like a candle figure, it's a cake. Like, drive slow. What more do I need? Like, I emphasize this as soon as I get into the car. Like, dude, this is precious cargo. Please, can you drive slow? Don't be driving like you're in your country city.
Where'd you put it? In the back? In the boot?
Okay. So my cakes kind of, because they're tall, they measure up about 15 centimeters. And on this occasion, I thought they'd be fine in the boot because he's got a flat boot. And people always think that holding a cake on your lap is a great thing. Look, you've got so much jelly on your body. All that's going to be doing is moving with your body weight. Like if you're jiggling, the cake is going to be jiggling. So on a flat surface in the footwell or in the boot. So I thought on this occasion, his boot was completely clear. It's going to be fine in the boot. I think like 5 minutes into the journey, I could tell that this guy was reckless because he was just going over the speed humps like there was no, the way he was hitting hard on his brakes and I was like, I said to him, sir,
sure,
really gently, sir, please can you just drive a little bit slower because I've got cakes, and when you know, just drive, be calm, like we've got a long journey here, you know. And he was like, yeah, don't worry, Natasha, don't worry. And my name isn't Natasha, and I always have to point, but because it's an Uber, I'm in that car with him for less than max an hour, less. So I'm not even trying to engage to tell him that my name is not Natasha, whatever, cool. And then he's driving. I was just like, Nastassja, tell this guy to slow down. And then I thought, no, you know what, just be calm. And by this time I was just like, my anxiety was rising, and I was just like, should I tell him to slow down? And then he went over this one speeder, and we galloped over this, and I was like, hey, like pull over, actually, let me just put my toolbox in front of one of the bigger cakes so it doesn't hit the back, because it had just slid down to hit the what do you call it? The roof. The what do you call it?
The what?
The back of the car, like honestly,
the boot.
The boot. That's
okay.
Oh my gosh! Like this is how tired I am. Can't even think. So it hit the boot. It was in the boot, but it hit the back mirror, and I was just like, whoa.
Back mirror.
But the window glass bit.
So wait, you're talking about not in the boot itself. You're talking about on the shelf, but under the glass.
No. Yeah. So in the boot, it just slid because the boot was quite wide, so it just slid to the back mirror, and it just grazed it. And I was just like, guy, just slow down. So let me put my box in front so it doesn't slide back, right? So we pull over, and I do that, and I'm just like, okay, cool, let's get on our way. So we're getting on our way, and he takes a turn, and I was like, "Ooh, the cakes are sliding." I was like, you know, when you turn, can you just be gentle? Because when you're driving with cakes, it's when you're turning that's the crucial point, because it's like if you do just a sharp turn, everything's just gonna knock over, and you have to kind of go wide, go gentle, slow down and go wide, actually drive like your instructor taught you how to drive, that's how you're supposed to drive, right? So I said to him, the way you're turning, I was like, sir, the way you're turning, just slow it down for me. So he was like, yeah, okay, it's a cake's okay. And I was like, yeah, on this occasion, just slow it down. So we get to one traffic light. No, we get to one traffic light, and he's just about to take a left. And then the traffic light turns green, and he does the sharpest turn. He just goes, look, and literally the cake went lopsided. I literally just screamed. I was screaming in the car, and it was just the inner voice, like, what the hell are you doing? I was just like Monster Stash came out. And, you know, like, it was that moment that I flung, like, I opened the door, the side passenger door. I didn't care. The cars were coming out, and there was that guy going, beep. Like, I was just like, and he was like, oh, I'm sorry. And then he's like, Natasha, I told you to hold the cake. And I was like, look, don't tell me how to carry my cakes. I've been doing this for how long? It's not about holding the cakes. You took the sharp turn. Why are you driving manically for? You're driving so manically. You went around that corner like about like not even 20 miles per hour. It was like 25 miles per hour. And we had stopped. All you needed to do was a gentle turn. Like, what are you doing? And then afterwards, I rearranged the cake. And like, luckily, I was just like, oh my gosh, am I gonna have to go home and just like fix the cake? Luckily the cake was fine. So literally I fixed the cake, and then we rearranged them. I put one in the footwell. I ended up having all of the cakes in the footwell, and the smallest one on my lap, of which I didn't want to hold, but I had no option because I just had no option because all of the space was taken. And then so I fixed all the cakes, and I put one at the side. I'm holding one. Then we continue our journey. My guy takes another wild turn and knocks, like, literally does exactly the same thing, takes another wild turn. The cake on my right-hand side in the footwell just literally falls again, but this time falling and denting the cake. And I was just like, oh, fuck's sake. Like, and I was like, at this point, I was just like, Nastassja, don't scream and shout because you don't have the energy. You still need to go and set this cake up. And then I literally just said to him, you're just going to have to pull over again. I'm going to have to check the cakes because if it's damaged really bad, you're going to have to swing around the car and I'm going to have to go home. Luckily, the cake wasn't damaged that bad. And it was just, I had to just fix it with flowers. And by this time, I try not to be despondent because it's just like you're not even halfway through setting up yet. And this is the part that kind of then proves how great you are of a job, like how great of a designer, of a cake designer are you, because this is where you have to show and prove your skill of like, okay, cool, there's been like, in my head, it's like 80% damage because we left the house with 100% cake. But it wasn't 80% damage. And this is just me being over the top. And when it comes to my work, I'm actually still livid. Like, doing this first episode, like, I'm still livid. I'm just like, did he actually do that? Did he actually go wild and do that? To be honest, I'm going to report him on Uber. Like, because I just feel that much anger. And I've like, people always ask, how do you transport your cake? All of the drivers I've had are really kind of cool and gentle with the drive. But it's the fact that this guy was being reckless. And he realized he was being reckless because he was tapping along to Motown and he was all clapping and giving it. I was just like, do you want to actually do your job and drive? And have both hands on the wheel, not just one, and start clapping along to the song. And so the cake, I was just like, you know what, I'll sort it out at the venue. I just don't have time to go back and do that because we're halfway there. And then for the rest of the journey, he started driving at 17 miles per hour.
So you learned his lesson, but at the end,
he turned off his music and started driving at 17. The most he went was probably 35 when he got onto the motorway. Well, actually, he did clock a little bit more because it was like 50 miles.
35 on the motorway?
No. He did clock about 50, but he weren't trying to go over 50.
Okay.
But in all the residential areas, my man was like hardly touched 20. And then he was like, am I driving properly now? And then I wanted to say,
how are you going to report him when he tried to fix up?
No, well, I'm just going to give him like 0 stars, innit? But
he tried.
No, that's not the point. Yes, he did try. I'm not going to lie. He tried when he reduced his speed down to 17 miles per hour. And I'm not going to be one of those people who, was she not satisfied? I was satisfied. But the fact is, it's like, now you're driving at 17. What time are we going to get there? It doesn't mean that, I'm not saying that drive carefully doesn't mean don't drive at the speed limit.
Sure.
It just means that it's like one of the things he did as well is whenever he came to a zebra crossing, he hit the brakes hard. Like, why are you hitting the brakes hard? Why are you not just slowing gradually? Why is your stopping distance, I'm going to get to zebra crossing, then hit the brakes? See, and this is what I'm saying. A good driver doesn't do that. A good driver sees that there's a zebra crossing ahead, so he slows down gradually, not get to the break point of, because you're at the zebra crossing. And then you're going to turn around and be, oh, sorry, I didn't see the zebra crossing. Or I didn't see the person walking across the zebra crossing. And then I'm just going to look at you, and I'm going to look out the window and be like, God, I pray that we get to the destination in one piece. I'm in your hands now. I'm not going to complain because my man is trying and he's trying. So I didn't complain the rest of the journey. I was just thankful that whatever time I got there because, boy, there was no point of me arguing with this person anymore, because I know the type of person I am, and I'm going to be like, just because I told you to drive carefully, it doesn't mean 17 miles per hour. But he was doing his best. So I appreciate that. And we got there in the end. So I can't, like, technically I can't complain. It's just my artist ego in it. That's it.
Sure. Well, maybe he'll listen to this and then
who knows?
The world is small like that.
Maybe. But yeah, I mean, when we got there, he was just like, oh, should I help you with the cakes? I was like, man, you've done enough damage. Like, let me just... Yeah, I know. But at that point, I was just like, you know what? Let me just do it, because if you do more damage, I would hate it. Like, my thing is, I know he wanted to help and I know he felt really, really bad about his, like, awful driving in the beginning. So for me, I didn't want him to take, like, if he picked up the box wrong and smudged something, I'm going to get even more mad. So instead of that, I was just like, you know what? I'm going to pay for the extra waiting times for you to just chill and let me handle this bit.
So, random question. Have you ever been about to deliver a cake and you dropped it?
No, that's not what we do out here.
Okay, cool. I don't know.
No, people have said that and I was just like, that's not what we do out here.
Okay.
That's what a normal person does.
It could just be an accident.
No. It's just, no, we don't do that stuff like that.
You're above that.
Yes. There's just accidents like this that happen in an Uber because, you know, and then it's kind of just like, well, Nastassja can't really blame him. Like, yo, you could have like just got a zip car today, and then it's just, you think of all of these things. That's why I just had to remain stum in the car, and it's just like, just shut your mouth in it and just like let him drive the 17 miles and you're going to get there safely. If you tell him to up the speed, you know he can't up the speed because he drives kind of recklessly.
Yeah.
And it's not like he was driving mad. Actually, for me, even if I didn't have cakes, he was a bit wild, because you just don't go over humps like that.
Well, the story ended happily in the end.
As long as I got there with the cake, that's what my main concern is. I was just like, you know what, just sit back now and just shut up, because if you start telling him to up the speed, he's going to do something else that's reckless. Just calm. And I you know, it's my way of practicing my calm. Like, it did actually test my patience today. Usually I'm I'm a firecracker, and I have to say I probably dealt with that better than I would have in other instances. I mean, at one point I did want him to stop the car and me order another Uber, but then again I thought, you know, if I order another Uber, that might be worse. You see, this is what goes through my head, like, literally. Yeah, because I'm that, like, I can be very, like, I can just be very wild at that. Like, my wildness at each end of the Richter scale is like, stop the car, I'm going to order a new Uber because you're just reckless. Like, and I'll get into the new Uber. I mean, I've done that once, actually. But that's because the driver was actually rude as well. And I was like, I'm not having this. Like, I'd rather just get out and get a new Uber.
But even on that, look, you are a client at the end of the day.
Yeah, and that's,
they're not going to understand.
And that's the thing for me. It's like, you know, you can do all of, you know, if... I dealt with the situation as best as I could, but at the same time I kept my client updated of what the madness was, because it was one of those where I was just like, this is crazy, you know, like. But, you know, my Uber diaries, that's just one for the Uber diaries, isn't it? So, you know, you have you never know who you're going to get with Uber, you know, sure, it's 100%. Like Skittles, isn't it?
Yes, that's just one way to put it.
And what could I do? What could I do? Like, for me, I graduated a point because, I didn't get as mad as I usually would do with Precious Cargo. I took a breath and I looked at him and I looked out the window and I was like, it's with you now, God. I'm going to be patient and ride this out with you.
Okay. Well, I think that's a good way to wrap it up with a story time, unless there was something else you wanted to...
No, I mean, we've got plenty of story times to get through. If I told you all of my stories, I think we'll be here for a good 3 hours. Not that I don't want to be talking for a good 3 hours, but, got to get home, got to try these natas. And, just got to chill and, and just relax. I mean, this week I'm just kind of cruising and relaxing. Wouldn't say that much, but I've got an exciting cake that I'm doing this week. I'm really looking forward to it. It's actually a novelty cake, and I don't often do novelty cakes, but I'm really looking forward to this because I've been waiting for someone to order this theme so I can do this cake. That's the only reason why I'm doing a novelty cake like this.
Okay.
So that's exciting, and so
me, I'm kind of hoping. So I'm pausing because I'm trying to think when this will come out, but it doesn't really matter. I'm just hoping my work send me home. So
Lisimba wants to be on garden leave so bad, did it?
100%. The sooner I go on garden leave, the sooner I can work on my ice cream and just make a go of it and just really push. But I need that time to myself.
Okay.
So fingers crossed they had enough of me and send me home. I guess I was speaking about this with my cousin. I'm a victim of being a good employee. So normally for this particular role, they would have sent my ass home 2 weeks ago, right?
But you're so good, they want to keep you. They want to work you. They want to squeeze all your juice, the juice, and get that sauce as well out of you.
Every drop of blood that they want, So it's bit me in the ass, but
cool. So how can people connect with us if they want to connect? You know what, I'm not even gonna lie, I know this is our first episode, but I forgot our email. I don't You know what, the email address is gonna be in the link to this blog to this podcast. Are we gonna have a blog? We're gonna have some sort of blog role to go along with this as well.
There'll be somewhere where you can connect to us. I don't know 100% the ins and outs yet, but we'll work it out.
So we've got an email.
100%.
Definitely. I know this is so lame, like how, I mean, connect with us through our individual social media platforms. No, and the Juice and Sauce has its own, we've got our own IG, and once again that's going to be in the link to this podcast. Okay, this is how great and fun and off the cusp this is.
100%.
And
is it off the cusp or off the cuff?
Off the cuff. Is it off the cuff?
I thought it was off the cuff, but it could be off the cusp. I don't know.
It's off the cuff.
You sure?
You're actually right.
Off the cuff, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I'm sorry.
No,
but I invent my own thing, so that's my own thing that I say. And I know that somebody's going to listen to this and they're going to be like, Nastassja, you were making up your own shit. Spending time, this is what happens when you spend too much time mixing cakes on your own. You start inventing things on your own. It's just like, yes, I do. But we're going to have our email, our IG, all in the link.
Yeah, all in the description. And then
just hit us up. Places you can hit us up with anything and everything.
How do we find you on your channel? What's your channel? Your social?
My social media is Miss Sugar Plum. MS_sugar_plum, or you can just search The Indulgent Sugar Plum and hit me up.
Cool. And then for myself, you can search for me for my full name, which is Lisimba Pink, which is Lisimba, and then Pink, PINK, and I'm that across all the channels, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, all of it. Not much content on there, more content on the Black Food Club, but all over.
Yeah, so hope you enjoyed our first episode, and we're going to get more into the groove as we go along and bringing you laughs, jokes and everything like that. And just send us questions. If you have any questions about food, any questions about baking, any questions about ice cream, any questions about anything that you want to know in the food industry that we should go and uncover, any places that we should go eat, any desserts that I should try, and don't send me your cakes because I may not eat them. No, joking. I would love to try cakes if you've got like I don't know. You know what? We're gonna take this to new levels with, especially when we start doing a lot of our YouTube content. So we'll probably be a time where we'll ask you to send in cakes and I can try them. I'm not gonna rate you. I feel like you know what? Everybody likes different kinds of cakes in it, but I would be so up for trying like different kinds of cakes out there. So yeah.
That's interesting. Rate my cake. I can see it now.
We probably do a rate my cakes, but you know, like cool. Like rate my cakes. Yeah, let us know what you think about that.
Yeah, 100%. Hit us up. Let us know if that's what you want to see or you want to hear. You might want to hear doing some ASMR or something like that. You know ASMR?
No, you told me about this.
There's people like eating or just doing stuff that makes noises. That creates that like tingling feeling.
Some weird shit.
All right, guys.
that's like BDSM. Is it
BDSM?
It's like
that's like the spanking and stuff.
Yeah, but that's
not sexual.
No. But I'm like that's like BDSM for food. Like that's what I was gonna say. Like you're saying, like for eating food and tingling. Like anyway, that's my description.
It helps some people actually sleep. You know.
Whatever floats your boat, innit? Whatever floats your boat.
All right, cool. On that note, thank you so much for listening. If you're watching, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in episode 2 of Juice and the Sauce.
Bye. That was so lame, but bye.